TV personality Jeremy Kyle has been giving evidence this week in an inquest into the death of a man who died a week after appearing on his show. 63-year-old Steve Diamond appeared on the Jeremy Kyle show in 2019, hoping to prove by taking a lie detector test that he had not cheated on his partner. He failed the lie detector test, became visibly very upset on the programme, and then afterwards told a producer, quote, "I wish I was dead." Diamond died by suicide 1 week later. His death led to the Jeremy Kyle show being axed, and the episode on which he appeared was never aired. However, that clip has now been made public after being shown at the inquest into Diamond's death. Now, a warning, this footage is very distressing.
Can I just say about this guy, he was on some medication, I believe. It doesn't matter what medication. So keen was he to come and do this lie detector. He went to his doctors and he found out about whether that was okay to do a lie detector. This guy's on after the break. He is absolutely determined to prove to you that this is just... He says, I probably said a few white lies in the past to impress... Well, I'm just... Don't start on me, I'll say that. But he says he loves you and he's going to pass 100%.
I do. I think he does love me. I do.
Do you think he'll pass, yes or no?
There's something wrong with him.
Do you think he'll pass?
I'm 50-50.
All right, she's 50-50. He's on next, Steve. We're back with him, an all-important lie detector after this break. Coming right back. Don't go anywhere. Why'd you lie so much?
If I knew the answer to that, Jeremy, I wouldn't be here.
What do you mean by that?
I just lied to her for no reason.
Still to this day?
No. Since we split up and got back together, I've never lied once to her.
Since the start of your relationship with Jane, have you passionately kissed anyone else? She said no. Why did she say no, Steve?
Because I was telling the truth.
Tess says you're a liar, pal. Just so you're aware, you failed every single question.
Oh, my God, I was never unfaithful.
Gotta go and talk to her.
Oh, no.
He was going to pass.
But it wasn't. I've never been unfaithful.
I find it quite interesting. I'm really sorry. You're better than that, by the way. I find it quite interesting that the audience thought you were telling the truth. I wouldn't trust you with a chocolate button, mate. Honestly, you are... I don't think you even know what the truth is.
You've done it.
You've done it.
Everything.
Jane, I haven't.
So you come to your fishing, you meet her and everything... So that's wrong, is it?
Yes, I swear.
So the serial liar goes into the Jeremy Kyle lie detector and gets called a liar, and my test's wrong, yeah?
I swear I'll swear on anything.
Really, really awful to watch. I mean, especially obviously knowing what happened afterwards just a week later, but just the fact that that was the kind of thing that aired on TV up to, as recently as 5 years ago. That guy did have sort of a real history of mental health problems. The show sort of says, oh, but his doctor gave him the go-ahead to come on the Jeremy Kyle show. I'm not sure what was going on there, but clearly treating that incredibly distressed man in that manner, in front of a live studio audience all booing. I mean, it's just awful to watch. Appearing at the inquest in Winchester, Jeremy Kyle denied belittling Diamond on the programme and claimed to have shown him care. Aaron, that's not what I saw in that clip.
You had at the beginning of that clip we just played a moment ago, that man saying that, like you say, he's on medication, he's spoken to his doctor, and Jeremy Kyle says, I don't care what medication you're on. Well, actually, if he's on significant medication for anxiety disorders, depression, bipolar, we have no idea, then actually that does make a difference. It makes a physiological difference with regards to your capacity to do certain things, like pass a lie detector test. But it also means that he may not be able to deal with tragedy, trauma in a reasonable way if that lie detector test goes one way or the other. The idea that you go on national television and you subject yourself to this kind of evaluation and scrutiny by strangers and being called names by somebody like Jeremy Kyle when you're not in a fit mental state, or at any time really, but most certainly when you're not in a fit mental state, just defies belief. And like you say, if you were to talk about this story to, your best mate down the dog and duck, and you say, Jeremy Kyle did this and it was awful and this man committed suicide, they would think, oh, wow, is that like 2005 or something? But as you said, it was 5 years ago. This is 2019. Absolutely extraordinary. And I think there should be very, very, very stern consequences for Jeremy Kyle, but also all the producers involved in that show. How on earth, I mean, you tell me, Michael, how on earth was there not a medical professional attached to the show, attached to the production company, vetting the guests? That is crazy. The fact that he had to, do this independently via his own GP, by the sounds of it. I mean, and that's what they're saying on the show anyhow, sort of defies belief. I really hope that, I hope Jeremy Kyle never works in television again. And it is extraordinary. This man lied to a woman who he loved. By the way, that's not that unusual. He probably felt inadequate and wanted to project something else about who he was. I know that he told her he was in the Royal Navy. He was actually in the Merchant Navy or the Royal Auxiliary. He lied to project a different image of who he was. He felt inadequate. He didn't think he was man enough for her, whatever. That's very explicable, right? You don't need to be Sigmund Freud to understand that. But instead, he was publicly humiliated by Jeremy Kyle, who went to a private school founded in the 17th century. I mean, this really crystallizes everything wrong with popular culture as it is broadcast through TV in this country, whether that's Benefit Street or whether that's people like Jeremy Kyle over the last 25 years.
Obviously, at the inquest, Jeremy Kyle and his team are going to be saying we did follow the protocols. If the GP said this, then our protocol said X, Y, Z. I don't really want to get into the details because I don't feel sort of qualified enough. I suppose a more general question for you, Aaron, is I've sort of seen some people on Twitter saying, obviously this is a horrible negative story. It's horrible to see this has happened, but it is remarkable how quickly sort of our values have changed, that when we watch this now, we think, how the hell could that get on TV when Jeremy Kyle was showing sort of every day until 5 years ago, had 1 million viewers a day sometimes. What do you think of that? Do you think we have turned a corner sort of as a culture in terms of how sort of happy we are to sort of humiliate ordinary people live on TV?
Possibly, but also I don't think this was regular fare for Jeremy Kyle. I used to watch it with my dad in the early noughties. I remember watching it, and that's how long it was going for. There was, of course, a host of shows in the United States that was somewhat similar. Ricky Lake, Jerry Springer. None of them were as remotely vicious, including Jerry Springer. None of them were as remotely as vicious as Jeremy Kyle. Jeremy Kyle had a very particular brand and style about him. But even for him, this was really, really, really low. To explicitly say somebody's on medication and they're coming on here, etc. Really, I still think in the mid-2000s that would have raised eyebrows procedurally. And like you say, let's see how this unfolds in Winchester with regards to the production company and those responsible and Mr. Kyle as they're scrutinized. But I don't understand how procedurally you can have somebody like this on your show. You're getting eyeballs, you're making money from them, and you don't have your own independent medical professional to ascertain whether or not actually they're in a fit mental state to do that.
I'm just none the wiser as to whether or not they do say they have a medical professional on set. I'm sure, this information is available. I just have to sort of be clear that I'm sure they would say that there was someone with that responsibility. But I mean, whatever justification they come up with at this inquest, that footage you've seen is appalling, is disgusting, and it's just the lowest form of journalism, humiliating someone. And the fact that it ended in a tragedy, obviously you can never predict this in sort of any one case, but if you've got a TV show which is treating people like that, then it was, it seems like it was bound to end in tragedy at some point.